today I'm going to use this opportunity to share with you my thoughts about Elementary OS 6. Now, I'm installing this on my main production machine, which is over 10 years old. And looking, as you can see on the screen, at my hardware, you will see that just about, if you open up and get your magnifying glasses out there, you will see that I'm running a dual-core AMD FX F100 quad-core processor here on an NVIDIA GeForce GT710, which is a 2 gigabyte graphics card there. And I've got 16 gigs of RAM loaded up into this beast of a machine. And yeah, I've just recently as well upgraded the SSD. So now I've got a crucial drive now installed into this machine. And already I'm noticing some stability improvements, not issues, but it is working an absolute dream now. I upgraded from a Kingston, believe it or not. Yeah, I know, Kingston, really good for their memory, really good for their hard drives, etc. But I went from a Kingston 120 gigabyte up to a crucial 240 gigs here. So Elementary OS 6 installed clean onto that disk. The installation picked up that it could find Windows 10 on my other hard drive, so that has now created a nice grub boot screen where I can boot into Windows 10 with no problems whatsoever. So if I decide to wipe Elementary and go back to the previous version, or perhaps test out another distribution, then I've got no issues with it trying to find Windows on my primary hard disk there. So this is my secondary SSD here, running no problems at all. So, looking at the latest issue here, this release here enables us now to update firmware from within the system settings window here. So, if you go to the settings, you've got the option to obviously bring up the about screen, which is what you're seeing, basically the system screen. And it's here that if there are any kind of driver updates awaiting you for your hard disk or your M.2 drives, etc., then you will find it here. So there'll be a nice little button there that will say update firmware available, and there you can obviously update it with no issues whatsoever. I've got no firmware drivers to update on this one here, so with any luck we are good to go. But before we come to any other settings, I'd just like to point out that this is not obviously the default desktop wallpaper. This is my own, which I've downloaded from Wallhaven. Lovely. I love Volkswagens. I really do. Especially those camper van types back from the 60s. Yeah, I love those. Anyway, that's just me. Plus also, I like the backdrop as well. I mean, just look at those clouds and that sky. It's absolutely gorge. Anyway, yeah, so this is me with my Elementary OS 6. So first impressions, I've got to say, well, first of all, I had my hands on the beta when it came out. I played around with that for a few weeks, and I couldn't really go any further to play around too much with it because there was still a lot of issues regarding applications and how you download those and then get those installed. Now, it's worth pointing out, version 6 here is flat pack straight out of the box. So any applications that you want to install will not be from the Ubuntu repositories. They have totally whipped those out. There is no reference to any of the Ubuntu repositories anymore with the apps that you use here in Elementary 6. So in 6, the way that you need to install your software will be via the FlatHub. So when you do your installation, you will get to the end of the installation, and then when you first boot up, you'll get your welcome screen. And the welcome screen talks you through the features and enables you to obviously, set up the trash, so that you can obviously have it trash old files and temporary files, etc. every 30 days. You've also got the option to set your location, and as well as that, you can also, when you get to the final screen, open up the App Center. Yeah, that's great, but there's also a very, very, I have to point this out, very, very small print that actually says, to obviously enhance your app experience, use FlatHub. Okay, I've got absolutely no issues with using FlatHub. Now, the discussion is still around FlatHub versus Snap. So Flatpaks versus Snap. I am more of a Snap user, I will admit that. Now, the only reason for that is because personally, in my view, I feel that Snaps are better maintained. However, if I want to install an application like Kdenlive and make it stable, I will download the FlatHub version. Because I know if I do that I will have a nice, stable, working version of that software installed on my machine here that will stay fixed until they push another release for it. And those updates generally happen, I don't know, every 2 to 3 months or so, at least from what I've seen anyway. But, you know, in order to use like OBS, for example, then I would want to be using the Snap version. And my main reason for that is because I know that in terms of OBS with new features, etc., it will be maintained and I will see those new features coming through if I have the Snap version installed. So I don't have any issues there whatsoever. So yeah, so this is all purely now FlatHub. I don't have any issues out of there. So a few things that I've picked up through watching people's videos and live streams over the last few days or so regarding Elementary 6. And they're kind of, you know, I'm in an R-ing over it. They either like it or they don't like it. Personally, I've been using now Elementary 6 for 2 days as a clean install on this machine. I have not seen one issue once so far. It installed straight out of the box, no problems at all. In terms of a browser, you get Epiphany, which is obviously like the GNOME version, the GNOME stock web browser. That was the first thing to go. I mean, I'm not going to, I just cannot stand that browser, and I do not understand why it is that still today the Elementary team push such an atrocious rubbish, and I'm going to say it, browser. What is wrong with Firefox? Why couldn't they push Firefox as the proprietary web browser? Now, that's another discussion for another stream, but, you know, I've got separate views over that one there. I've also got my views right now over what's happening with Firefox. And I've heard news this week that Firefox itself is in decline in terms of its usage. Why? I don't particularly understand. It's either a case that people are not liking the updated UI, or they just want some browser where they can take their settings with them from device to device. Incidentally, if you have forgotten out there, you can actually create a Firefox account and sync that between Firefoxes on any device that you've got Firefox installed. So, for example, I can take my bookmarks and my browser history to my MacBook Pro, for example, and open up Firefox on there, and there they are, so long as I'm signed in. But the theming is a bit, I don't know. Yeah, and I'll show you shortly here as well. So, as you can see from here, I have downloaded and installed Brave as my default browser. So at the moment, the Brave browser, I'm just going to open up a new window here because I've got the window on my secondary window monitor here, it wasn't easy enough to install straight out of the box. So in order to get it installed, you will need to use the Epiphany browser if you haven't already downloaded and installed Firefox. So if you did want Brave or you did want Edge, then you would need to obviously use the Epiphany web browser to be able to go to the website and download the .deb file, etc. But on Brave, you would go to brave.com, and quite simply, when you get into there, there will be this download button, which is download Brave. So there you go. So you go to download, and straight away it detects which version of Linux you are using. So if you're on Windows or a Mac, it obviously for Mac it will show you the .dmg file, and on Windows it will download a .exe file. But on Linux, you are offered this page here, which gives you the opportunity to choose, on elementary at least, whether you want to install the release channel, the beta channel, or the nightly channel. So if you install the latest version, then you would be installing the release channel. So that's what I did there. But straight away you can see, if you scroll down the page, that you are given the code that you need to run in a terminal in order to install the Brave browser. So it is just a case of, in Elementary 6, to hold down a super key and press T. You get the terminal load up, and the first thing you do obviously is just copy the first line. So you can either highlight it, right click and copy, or use your keyboard shortcut Control C, etc. And then you simply just paste it into the terminal and then press enter. Enter in your password. Now I already have this installed, so therefore it's not going to go through and offer me any packages to update, so that's already there. But the one thing it is spotting straight away, because I haven't run my update today, is that I've got some extra packages to remove, because it's either found newer versions of it, or these are older versions that need to be deleted off of the machine. So I'll do that in a short while. But basically you carry on that process. You will then obviously highlight the second line, right click again, copy, go into the terminal, and then carry on from there. Do that whole command, and then you'll have the Brave browser installed. Simple, so easy. So I'll leave the Brave browser open for now, because we will need to be able to revert back to that at a later stage. Now with Elementary, the annoyance is that the title bars don't have the minimize button. So in order to minimize it, you come down to your dock and you just click the icon. You can see now I just clicked it and it disappeared. For example, terminal, click it, disappeared. Now if I had that window open and I'm a keyboard shortcut man, the first thing I would do is hold down my super key and press H, and it hides it. So super H, window key H, and yeah, it just hides the current window that you've got open. So if I had Brave open and I just needed to minimize it quickly, super H, and it's gone. Now you can't do that with multiple windows, but basically you just keep on clicking super H until you get back to your desktop here. Or alternatively, you can of course do the activity. So if you did come down to the dock, then you'll see what windows you've got open, and you can just revert back to the desktop in this way. Now let's talk about workspaces. So by default you get 2 workspaces. So if you are, and I will point this out now, if you are a laptop user with Elementary, you can use gestures, and to switch across to the next workspace you would use 3 fingers and you would swipe from right to left. Now by doing so you will then switch it automatically to the next workspace. So if, for example, that I did do that on my keyboard, on my laptop, what would happen is it would effectively just switch off to the next workspace here. So what I can do is I can multitask. I can put web browser on one of those windows, and then have my primary workspace to have my emails and what I'm currently working on, editing video, etc. So if I did need to swipe, 3 fingers, swipe right to left, and then if you want to switch back again, 3 fingers again, swipe of course left to right, and that effect basically will show you and improve your how you do your work basically. Yeah, so what I'm noticing straight away is for a desktop user, in version 6 I've seen more stability for me personally. The only gripe that I've got at the moment is installing it straight out of the box is, I don't know what graphics driver it uses, whether it uses Wayland or not, I do not know. But I obviously have to install NVIDIA drivers. Now, if you open up the App Center, the first thing you would do is go to the Installed tab, And if once it's done its refresh, the NVIDIA driver is available to you, then it will appear here. So let me I mean, it's still refreshing now. Let me just let it do that for a moment. There we go. See, the NVIDIA driver is now coming. Take a swig of my cup of tea there. So, issues. I know the Elementary team did some work late on Monday to fix and push out a final release candidate to testers for NVIDIA. They were having some issues. I don't know what exactly, but they found some issues and they resolved it. So version 6 came out, I downloaded and installed it, and then came here and went to install the 470 driver. Not knowing and expecting there to be an updated version, I found 470 was there, so I went and downloaded 470. I rebooted, and oh boy, issues straight away. It loaded fine, I could see my desktop and everything else, but the 470 driver then started glitching on me. And yeah, the screen just went all, I don't know, weird on me. So the first thing I did was boot back, and then really I just uninstalled the 470 driver. I did a purge on that one in the terminal, and then I came back here again and I started from scratch. I downloaded and installed the version 390, and then I put 460 on top of that. I didn't have any issues, but that's not really the correct way to do that. So what I did then is I did another clean install, and I came back and before I did anything else is I installed the 460 driver. So here it's 460.91.03. That one I do know supports this latest kernel and also supports my main desktop here. Works like a dream, no problems at all. Only issue I'm finding at the moment is that I cannot get the NVENC encoder to work in OBS. I think I know what my issue there is. At the moment I'm streaming to you using the software encoder. I think I know what the issue is, but I will have to test and trial that in the next few days or so. So yeah, we will get that resolved, and I will see how we get along with that one. I think I know what the issue is. If not, then I know it's kind of a kernel issue, and I've got to wait for an update to the kernel to see if anything improves on the next update. So in terms of the App Center, when you open it up for the first time, here's what you see. Now, the Elementary team and Elementary overall is known to have one of the best App Centers in all of Linux, and I agree with that. My only issue at the moment is here in version 6, is when you come to it for the first time, there's quite a limitation in the apps that are available to you. Now, just before the release went live on Tuesday, I posed a question to the dev team about what was happening with the App Center, and they confirmed exactly what I thought. So because it's a newer version and not a point release, they are needing the developers, obviously, like any Windows release or Mac release, etc. They're needing developers to basically code their apps to basically work for version 6. I get that, and I didn't expect all applications to be available to me when I loaded up 6 for the first time on Tuesday. So when I came here, obviously the first thing I looked for was OBS. Couldn't find it. And I expect to normally find OBS under the media production area of the App Center. So if I click in that now, I'm actually getting now a list of non-curated applications. Now, non-curated basically is applications that are not supplied to you by Elementary. So these applications here are what developers are pushing out to the App Center, but not via Elementary, if you see my point. So what we're seeing here is applications that have kind of cached in my install from me going to flathub.org and installing my software from there. So, so far so good. So I can see now that I've got a lot more applications available to me here. What I am going to try, and I've done a clean install on the travel laptop as well, is I'm going to see from that a bit later on if the App Center has actually been updated, because I haven't installed any software on that yet. So that will be my next task. I will look for that and see what comes of that next. And if they've done it, then brilliant. But I mean, the fact that I can see non-curated apps showing here at the top suggests to me that these are apps that have been cached by me installing apps from flathub.org. But anyway, so for example, I went into audio and I expected to find Audacity. I couldn't find Audacity. Audacity is in my list now, but only as a non-curated app. So music was the default application here. So that to me suggests that there was a bit of an issue. And that issue, of course, being that the app is not available yet. So all of these apps that you're seeing now listed under non-curated means that basically you can download them from flathub.org, but don't expect them to work. Or you can probably see that there might be some issues around it. But who knows, anyway. But anyway, I was able to download Audacity. As you can see, the free button has disappeared. So it's worth pointing out as well that with Elementary 6 that you've still got the option to install from here, the non-curated, if your application appears in the list. Now, if, for example, you go into one of the elementary applications, then if it's installed, it will just have the open button. If it's not, you'll have the install, and you'll also still be given the opportunity to donate some money to the developers of that application if you want to. If you don't, you just put 0 as your obviously as your currency, and then it will allow you to download the application for free. I get that, and I still like it. But occasionally I do find a very good application that I use on a regular basis, and I will obviously contribute towards the developers of that application, just for, you know, sheer courtesy, and say thank you. And also as well, I have already obviously donated to the elementary team as well. When I did my download of 6 the other day, I slung them 20 quid just to say thank you guys. Brilliant. So that's my good deed done for the next 2 or 3 years, I would have thought. But anyhow, so how do we install an application? Well, if you can't find what you're looking for, then you of course need to head over to your friendly browser, and it's here that you go into flathub.org, and from here you can see you've got your friendly applications. So the first application that I wanted to look for is my lovely radio app that I use to listen to internet radio with. So that one's called Shortwave. So that's the first application that I searched for. There it is, available to me as a flat pack. Just to point out that if you are a regular user of this application, like I am, that the FlatHub version is the most recent. All right, so if you download the Snap version, you're not going to get the full features. Even if you look for it in the, I've noticed it, if you download and install it from the Ubuntu repositories, you'll get in the Snap version. So if you want the updated version, come here to FlatHub and get it from there. So you click into that application and you've got an install button. So when you click on install, the first thing it's going to do is obviously offer to download the Flatpak reference file. That's great. So I would do that. And what that would do is it obviously store it to your downloads folder. But don't worry if you don't want to keep it, because after the installation you're given the opportunity, and that's what I really like, and I've noticed that as a new feature here in version 6, is that it will enable it to move it straight to trash. So you no longer have this Flatpak reference file. So for example, I know I've already got the application installed, but if I did open it, that now opens up the application and attempts to install it. So it says obviously it's detected that I've already got it installed, but you can see here now it's got move the reference file to the rubbish bin, or you can open it. So if you've got that ticked by default, each time you install a Flatpak from FlatHub, that option will appear as default, as ticked, and yeah, it will just basically move the Flatpak reference file into your rubbish bin. So rather than click open app, I'm going to click close, and then if I now look at my files section, you will see that under downloads that the FlatHub file is not there. It's disappeared. It's gone. Okay. So yeah, so it's so easy, so simple to install an application from FlatHub. But that's not good to the first time user, is it? It's not, no. So, you know, all I will say at this stage is give 6 time to bed in, all right? If you are wanting to come to 6, remember, 6 is a clean install. You cannot upgrade from 5.1 onto 6. The only way that existing elementary users will be able to do that is if they back up all of their files and then do a clean install. They're going to wipe their hard disk and do a clean install of version 6 straight onto their main desktop machine. And that's exactly what I've done here. Now, because I regularly distro hop on this machine, I tend not to save personal files to like a home directory. If I do end up downloading stuff into my downloads and my pictures and my music folders, etc., I will get those backed up straight away. So I will do a triple backup. I would, put it onto my OneDrive, my Dropbox, and I've got a pCloud account as well, where I'll also drop, wallpapers to, for example. So take, for example, this lovely Volkswagen wallpaper here. If I can get this minimized. I've just done the wrong thing there. Haha, I just did exactly what I thought I was going to do and didn't want to do. But yeah, so take for example this wallpaper here. I've downloaded it from a website. It hasn't come down as a offered wallpaper as part of the distribution. So I will back this up and then I can use it in a future install that I do on another machine, which is brilliant. So my personal thoughts on version 6 so far, I love it. I really do. I really, really do. But I just feel that there's still a lot that needs to come down the line, and I can see that will happen over the course of the next few weeks or months. Maybe even years, I do not know. But I really love and appreciate all of the efforts that went into this release. I think because it's gone on for so long, I think, has it gone 3 years now in development for version 6? They had to rush this out. They had to. We got Ubuntu 22.04 coming out next year. So the next release of Elementary will be version 7, and for that they've got to push that onto the next LTS branch, haven't they? So 6.1, 2, 3, whatever it will be as it comes along the line, will be point releases over the course of the next 2 or 3 years. And in those releases, you'll see security fixes, some feature enhancements possibly, but you won't see a complete overhaul of the system and, a complete new setup, new UI, etc. So, yeah, good luck, I will say, to the team if they're going to be starting out on version 7 right now, which I'm pretty sure they are. But yeah, so congratulations to all of the team on the elementary team, and really love and appreciate all of the work that has gone into this release here. So let's pick out some of the features, the things that have taken my fancy and that I love the most. So if I go into the applications menu, you can see here that I have set it up as dark mode. Now I've got to say, looking at dark mode against that font, against those icons, absolutely gorgeous. Really is. As gorgeous as my tea, excuse me. There we go. But yeah, I think I'm not sure. I think they're using the Papyrus icons for the application menu. I mean, don't quote me on that one. Can't be sure. But even just looking at the dock, the plank dock, the icons have not changed. The only change, I think, the newest of icons I can see, I think, is for the application tasks, which looks a bit different to me. But yeah, with each new release and update that the developers will be doing for these apps, I'm pretty sure that they will be creating and updating their icons as well. But again, they've got guidelines to follow, so they have to meet within requirements, otherwise the elementary team won't accept it. That includes through pixel size, quality, etc. There's a certain process that needs to be followed, and I know they covered that in a recent stream that the team did during their EDW weekend as well. I think you can find one of the previous recordings on their YouTube channel there. Yeah, so I'd be interested to see what icons come about in future releases with those applications. But yeah, so I'm in dark mode, and again, to scroll across, I will use the scroll wheel on my mouse. So to move to page 2 of this app list, here I am on page 2. When did Hypnotics appear? Did I install that? I know I downloaded a .deb file the other day, but did I install it? I did. Hallelujah. It works. All right. Okay. Anyway, that's a way to view IPTV over the internet within Elementary. So I'll give that a try after the stream has ended. So you can see here I've downloaded OBS Studio Shortwave. You've got your screenshot tool. Now I think it was in their release notes that they've updated this tool. Let me just take a quick look. So how might that have been updated? If it loads or does not load. Oh, there we go. So you can still choose the window, an area of the window, or select a region that you want. Okay, so nothing's changed in terms of functionality, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they've updated something in the back end to make that more stable. I've installed Handbrake and GIMP. Incidentally, those two applications out of the box are flat hubs, and I think with GIMP I get more of the most recent up-to-date version with that one there. And here's my radio application, my shortwave. And in terms of an office suite, now I've chosen to give this one a try. I don't know what made me do it, but I think it's because I used it previously many years ago in older versions of Mint. But Office, you don't get anything out of the box. So if you want to install Office, it's down to your personal choice. So you either download and install LibreOffice. You can either get free Office, or in my case, I went onto FlatHub and downloaded WPS. So I'm giving WPS a try because I like their new UI. I really do. It's definitely more of a Microsoft-ish look and feel. Goes beautifully with Elementary 6, and yeah, I just want to see how compatible that is with the files that I use at the office. I've installed Slack and Steam. I've got Steam installed, so again, all of these applications installed from flathub.org. So until the App Center really can, fix itself and come to some, fruition as such. And we stop seeing non-created apps, and we actually see applications come through the actual App Center. Yeah, so it's flathub.org, I'm afraid. But, through personal choice, it's the first thing I do anyway. I only really go to the App Center to see if there are any updates to the OS. All right, because don't forget, you get that ping and the notification appearing in the top right-hand corner. So far during this stream, it hasn't pinged at me yet. It hasn't gone ding and given me any sound as such to say that I've got notifications waiting for me. So yeah, so at the moment, I'm looking at the dock as well. The dock is transparent while I'm in full desktop view. If I load up my browser window and I go full screen with that, you can see that the toolbar has gone dark now. I think in version 5 that appeared to be kind of transparent, didn't it? I can't quite remember. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that as a slightly dark. Now my desktop is doing this. This is another point as well. When I'm going into the top left-hand corner, you can see that I'm bringing up the kind of workspace view. That's because I have set up hot corners, so that I have to very carefully, if I want to, click on an application, I will click application and get the full menu. Again, if you don't want to see icons, you can click the list view icon and you'll get it listed via category. So for example, Office, you can see that I've got my WPS Office suite there. Or of course, by default, look at it as icon view. But, if I go into the very top left, very quickly, I've got access to all of the windows I currently have open in my workspaces. I've only got workspace 1 active at the moment, so only workspace 1 is showing to me here. But I can, if I wanted to, click into workspace 2, and then I can set up some new views from there. If I did want to use workspace 2, I just click it. Now, what application do I want to load up in workspace 2? Let's do. Let's just drag the. Will that work? Let me just try this 1 second. There we go. Right. So I now have to literally just drag that onto this plus icon here. There we go. And it's created me now the App Center on workspace 2. So here I am in workspace 1, and to flick across it using the mouse on my desktop I cannot do. So in order to get to workspace 2, I actually have to go into multitask view and click into workspace 2. So I would be expecting to do the 3-finger gesture thing again on my touchpad. So it's worth pointing out, and let me just bring my camera into view here, so bear with. My lovely ugly face will now appear on screen. There you go. So it's worth pointing out that I have opted to get off of eBay a cheap version of, well, I say cheap, it is the version, the version 1 of the Apple trackpad. Now the reason I got this is because I was keen to test out gestures in the beta version of Elementary OS 6 when it came out, and boy did it work straight away. Fantastic. It's a bit battery hungry though, so if I want to continue using one of these, I will invest in the Apple Magic Trackpad 2, which will of course give me Bluetooth, and I can charge it via USB and not have any issues there at all. But you can see here that it just sits on the desk like so. And let me just see if I turn that on now. It's on, got a green dot. So let me bring up now my Bluetooth settings. Let me just minimize the App Center for a moment. So we're going to Bluetooth, which is here. I've got a dot now appeared, which means it's detected new devices. So if I click into that, there we go, straight away. It's detected and connected straight away to my Apple trackpad. And if I've just now disconnected, why did I do that? Let me go back into my Bluetooth settings and reconnect from there. There we go. So here are the devices, the neighboring devices that are appearing. I don't know what these are. My neighbors obviously have phones enabled, etc., that it's picking up. This is why I can't pick up the actual device names. It's getting their ID numbers instead. But anyway, the one thing it is picking up is my trackpad here, which is why I've got the full name Apple Wireless Trackpad. So if I click connect, it may or may not connect. It has connected brilliantly, and I've got the green dot appeared on my trackpad now, and it works fine. So just to highlight me again, I'll just close that down now. Moving workspaces. So I have my 3 fingers, and I will gesture that left to right. Now, did you spot that? There you go. Right to left, left to right, right to left, left to right, right to left. Now, if I bring up the App Center here in workspace 1, I believe. I will flick to workspace 1. There we go. Workspace 1, workspace 2. 1, 2. Isn't that great? Now, using also 3 fingers, you can go up, and you can see straight away it brings through the workspace of view. So then you can just browse down to it. You just obviously just drag your finger across there and click into the one that you want. If it'll work. There we go. And it'll work fine. So it's worth pointing out, as a trackpad, it works the same way as your laptop. So you can obviously move your fingers about. You can do left click using 1 touch, and you can do right click with 2 fingers, and that still works. There you go. So you can see now it says change wallpaper, display settings and system settings. So I can select change wallpaper and use my 1 finger and press that, and I will get the wallpaper window come up. And if I just scroll up to the top there and just go maximize with that one, there we go. So here are the wallpapers that are on offer to us here in version 6. These 2 here are ones that I've downloaded and installed myself, but by default, when you load up 6 for the first time, it is this wallpaper here that comes into view. So let me just minimize that. There we go. You can see that now. I'm going to close down the App Center. Actually, we don't need that anymore. Again, there's another wallpaper that's appearing there that I have actually installed myself, which looks absolutely gorgeous. So if I just click that again, there we go. But it confuses my eyes slightly because I can't see the icons, which is why I love these kind of dark view ones, and I love my Volkswagen there. I've also downloaded this nice tree. I mean, that is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at that against the black, the dark mode. Absolutely beautiful. And while we're on the subject of dark, you can see now, because we're in dark mode, that the plank has now shown up as dark rather than obviously light. So what I'm going to do now, in order to just show you the preferences of the plank, if you're not familiar with it already, you come to somewhere between a couple of icons inside the plank. You press and hold down your control key, and you do a right click, and then you let go and you select preferences. And it's there where you can set that. So I'm set up to the GTK Plus theme at the moment. From this, if I now go to Matte, I don't know what you want to call it. You can see now that I've got the full dock in view. Looks absolutely great, but I've got no other way to control it apart from changing the icon size or changing its alignment. So again, you can go transparent, and again, that looks absolutely beautiful. And again, you can set that to be on the right of your screen or on your left of the screen. And then you can select it as if you were using Ubuntu, really. But it's Pantheon, so I like to leave it at the bottom. Unless, of course, I want to move it out of the way because it's getting too intrusive. So there we go. So that's the dock in dark mode, yeah. So yeah, so what do you reckon? Looking good, do you think, possibly? I mean, I think they've done an absolute brilliant job in getting it to look absolutely polished. I think if I go into the settings now, yeah, the trouble is because I'm doing this as a install where I've already configured it, I'm not showing you it firsthand. So if I look at desktop now, and go to appearance. This is one of the options that is obviously granted to you when you do your install for the first time. So which mode do you want to choose? Do you choose default? Do you choose dark? You can also set it up so that if you stay in default mode, you can see now I've gone back to being white. You've got the option to schedule in sunset to sunrise. So if you do that, you'll see now that because I've gone past the hour of 8 o'clock when it gets dark here in the UK, that I am now automatically switched to dark mode. Now, tomorrow morning at, was it 5:30, 6 o'clock when the sun comes up, that will automatically switch back to light mode for me. So when I log in tomorrow morning, that'll be nice and light for me. You've also got a selection of accent colors, and I think they've introduced a few new ones here, but I choose one here that obviously sets the color based on a color from within my desktop background. So for example, if I load up or click on some of the menus and the buttons, you'll see that probably it will choose one of these nice blues or purples or browns. But I've also got the option to choose my own color, so I could go purple. You can see dark mode against the purple. Looks absolutely beautiful. I'll leave it set for that for now. But yeah, I'll give that a try and see if it automatically switches to light mode for that one then. Hey Steve, welcome to the stream. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. We're in Elementary 6 here, just having a little play around. So I hope you're doing fine over there today. And you've had a good day at the office as such. There's no other questions coming through at the moment. But if you do have a question, then do by all means pop them in the chat there. It'd be good to read some of those comments coming through. I can't see any other additions to the system settings, but the one thing I haven't done and will not do, and I think is restricted in version 6, is download and install the elementary tweak tools. Why would I want to do that? It's only really for annoyance now, really, the fact that I haven't got the minimize button and I want to place my buttons on the right hand side of the screen rather than keep them left, etc. Do you know what? This is version 6, a complete new version. I'm not bothered. I really am not bothered. So yeah, I'm going to see how my workflow goes, because I'm a Mac user, and let's just point out, this is not a clone of Mac OS, all right? So anybody can say that one? No. Don't anyone dare say that in front of me, because this is nowhere near a clone of Mac OS, all right? If you are familiar with using Mac OS and you want to use Elementary, fine. I don't think you've got any problems at all in installing this and running it straight out of the box. I'll tell you that now. But Mac OS, it ain't. Definitely not. Oh, he was watching as we were making you dinner, were you, Steve? Yeah. Don't make me hungry now, Steve. Hope you had something nice. Yeah, so what else can I show you from here? So dock and panel. Again, you can choose, as you could in version 5.1, the size of the icons within the dock. So you can see now that I've just told it to go down to the smallest of smalls, and you can see that it's still looking beautiful. Or I can go extra large and look at it that way. Any window overlaps the dock. I'll hide when it locks it. Okay, yeah, I get that. So you can see the dock's now disappeared, and if I come back, the dock reappears. Yeah, and that's how that function works. And obviously, you can show where the dock appears. You can show it on your primary display only. With that disabled, you can, if you wanted to, switch the dock to move across to the secondary screen there without any issues whatsoever. And panel translucency is on, so if I turn that off, you can see now here at the top that it has gone dark. Good. Yeah, I like it to be on, but I'd also like to be given the option to be able to set the opacity. So maybe that's something that the devs could look at for a future release, perhaps. People only give the Mac likeness comment because of the dock at the top. Yeah, they do, don't they, Steve? That's true. That's very true. Very true indeed. And that's partly why I choose to use XFCE, because when people see me using that desktop, I can actually demonstrate to them how easy it is to move the panel from top to bottom, install Plank, and customize it to basically look and feel like a Mac. And that's partly why I recommend Ubuntu to people if they want to do that. And XFCE always my chosen desktop environment when I'm not using Elementary, which is great. You still dislike the icon set? Yeah, you're not alone there, Steve. You're not alone. I think icons definitely need to be worked on, and it's either a case of the guys didn't have enough time to do that, or they're reliant on the app developers. I don't know, but anyway, they covered it on their developer weekend, They've done a whole session around how to create icons and make them fit within elementary specifications. So no doubt the reason why they did that is to refresh the app developers to make sure that they create an icon that's decent and compatible with the OS. Whether or not they get around to updating the icons themselves is another story. But, I still feel that if people want to be able to tweak the icons, that they've still got the capabilities to go into their .local folder and actually get their icons uploaded into there. So if you do prefer the Papyrus icons as an example, I'm pretty sure that you can still go in and install those that way. But again, to change how they look across the whole of the OS, you need the elementary tweak tool. Something that is definitely not coming down the line for me here in 6, and I'm leaving that alone. Definitely not going to touch that at all. So yeah, so I think, I'm going to leave a lot of the features of this newer version for other people to cover, because I think, I've looked at endless amounts of OS 6 videos already, and they're all pretty much saying the same thing. So you guys, great that you've produced these videos well in advance and have released them here in release week, which is fantastic. However, you're pretty much all saying the same thing. You really are, all right? So, having watched your streams and your videos so far, love them, great, and really appreciate the love and support that you're giving this OS. Some critical, some positive, but that's the whole point of these videos, isn't it? You're getting a really good view of the OS. But personally, I've been sitting back and feeling a bit of frustration around it. It's not that I dislike, it's the fact that I just feel that you guys have not given the OS enough time to bed in. You're expecting an awful lot out of this OS. And you're distro hoppers, aren't you? Come on, admit it. You're a reviewer. You are in a variety of desktops and environments pretty much day in, day out, week in, week out, year in, year out, aren't you? So you've already got a feeling of what it's like to use Manjaro. You've already got a feeling to know what it's like to use Ubuntu and Arch, deep in. And then it comes to desktop environments. You're so used to using and tweaking things like the Raven menus and stuff like that within Budgie. And tweaking things within XFCE to make it look right for you. Pantheon as a desktop. You're not going to see this desktop in any other distribution but Ubuntu Mate. And even Mate, I've played around with that and tried to get Ubuntu Mate to look and feel like elementary. I can't do it. I really can't. The only thing I can get to really look anything like elementary is the Plank dock. That is it. I really can't get Ubuntu Mate to look anything like elementary. I really can't. So, I challenge you guys out there to see if there's anybody out there that produces me a video that actually shows how to configure the Pantheon desktop. Nah, that ain't gonna happen. And that's why I truly love and appreciate the work that the elementary team do, because in this distribution, it's so different to any other distribution that I've used or touched. Elementary for me, that was probably, and I've got to think back a few years now, that was probably the first real actual Linux experience I felt and kept installed on my machine for longer than 2 weeks. Seriously. Yeah, I did Ubuntu, but I just didn't like Ubuntu's look and feel back in the day. And the Unity desktop, well, yeah, okay. That's another story. But, I use Arch and all these various desktop environments and stuff now. I'm pretty much bored of them all now. I will admit. And what bores me the most, I think, with the distributions is not the distribution itself. It's the fact that whatever distribution that I download and try, the whole experience, the whole look and feel is the same as me using another distribution. So why am I even thinking about using this distribution over that distribution? Why? Because I'm a distro hopper. Simple as that. Hi, Elema. How are you? I hope you're all right today. Good to see you here on stream. Yeah. So I mean, I think of it how you like, but this is my own personal view. And to me, Elementary 6, spot on, guys. Really is. And I will say to you, if you are thinking about upgrading, back up. Get it backed up, all right? You've got to go from 5.1 to 6. You can't do a jump in an upgrade form. You have to do a clean install. Make sure you back everything up, all right? And there's always a rule of 3. Make sure things are backed up 3 times. Stick it on a USB. Stick it on a portable hard disk. Stick it somewhere in the cloud. Make sure you've got multiple copies to hand in case of failure, all right? That's always the rule of 3. Yeah, so I don't really think there's anything more that I can really show you and feel for you here today in my experience of 6. I'm just using it now as my daily driver, and yeah, it crashes a couple of times, but I know the reasons why it's crashed. But here I am now over an hour into this stream, and I've not had the system freeze up on me at all. I've got YouTube complaining that my encoder is obviously not right, but I haven't dropped any frames. I'm doing all right so far. Doing all right. But let me know your thoughts. It'd be good to see some thoughts in the comment there. Lamer is saying that he's broken Elementary twice trying to fix what they broke. Really? Can you elaborate on that one a bit further for me, Lamer? It'd be interesting to know what they broke. Because for me, I've not noticed anything that has broken. Probably because I've got an older machine. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if you do, I'm pretty sure I'll agree with this, Lamer. You're saying that you might try to reinstall it and and get some workarounds. And you really like 6. That's good to hear. Really good to hear. Yeah, I mean, if you spot a problem, give it time. It's only the first week, but I wouldn't start really customizing the whole experience of Elementary 6 until you're satisfied that you've got a stable working installation. All right. If things are breaking, try reinstalling. That's what I do. On my laptop, I have already installed this 3 times now. Not because really it didn't work first time round. It's because I started doing a task, not realizing that I had to install another package on top of it or get another driver for it, for example. So that's what broke it. That's what kept on crashing it. And here on my desktop machine, the one thing that kept on crashing me all the time was the fact that I hadn't got the NVIDIA driver installed, because I expected it to work straight out of the box, and it does. You can boot up to a USB, you put it in, you load up first time round, it works, and you start using it. You've installed it as is out of the box. It works. Only when you fire up a web browser such as Firefox, I hate to say this, but yeah, it was Firefox that was causing me the issue, it crashed, and that's what happened. So Firefox was the cause there. So rid Firefox, downloaded Brave is having a few minor issues, but that's because really I haven't rebooted this box in 2 days, and that's probably part of the cause of that. But Spotify, I'm listening to online radio stations, taking screenshots, running commands in a terminal. I mean, there's no issues with it whatsoever. So I'm going to give this another few days or so, before I think about another clean install. But you know, let me know if you want to show me, if you want me to show you what it's like to go through my installation process. I mean, you can pretty much see it anywhere else. Lamer's saying that he can't install Steam as their GTK dark theme is broken. Yeah, there's a lot of dark themes broken actually in the majority of applications, but that's the same with any Linux distribution that I see and try all the time. And you're also saying that you've tried to install elementary tweaks as a workaround and started having issues with the installation. Yeah, just leave tweaks alone. Don't touch it. Really, I wouldn't touch tweaks with a barge pole, to be perfectly honest. Also, you're saying that your internet's acting out could be the real reason why it broke. Yeah, maybe. Another thing you could try to do is pull the plug. Just take your internet cable out. Don't have Wi-Fi enabled when you do your installation. All right, because it's not like Ubuntu. There's no going off to the internet to grab extra packages, etc. Time for dinner. Yeah, okay, Steve. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy your meal there, mate. And I hope to be with you this week. So I'll see you there. So take care, Steve. So if with Ubuntu you can download updates during installation. You can't do that with Elementary 6. So everything is in the ISO. So updates will happen once you've done the installation, not during the installation. So Lamer, give that a try, see if that works for you. I've had to do that with Peppermint installations, for example, installing Peppermint 10 on some older machines. I've had to pull the plug and make the machine install it as a local install without any access to the internet, and it worked perfectly fine. Don't know why, when it's got a plug into it and it's got access to the outside world, I don't know why it doesn't want to install the grub loader, for example. So that's why I do that. So maybe give that a try, see if that works for you. Let us know how you get on with that. So yeah, I'm just about done here. So thanks very much for the pleasure of your company here, guys. I'd say like, comment, and make any suggestions for any future walkthroughs that you'd like me to do for you. This has been my personal take on the Elementary 6 release this week. I'm just going to continue using it as is. I mean, OBS has been running now for nearly 2 hours without any issues whatsoever. So yeah. So let us know how you get on there, Lamer, and I hope it all works out for you. So I'm going to call it a day now here, guys. So thanks very much for joining us here today. This has been my personal take on Elementary 6. Like I say, you got the comment section below if you want to be able to just join in the conversation. You can follow me on Discord. Yes, I do have a Discord server. All right, if any, I know I don't generally promote it, but if you go onto the YouTube channel, look in the banner, you will find there's a link to my Discord channel there, Digital Robin, and you can join us there. Twitter, I'm Robin at RobinJust, and of course the website at digitalrobin.net, and you can find me throughout the week over on various Linux channels also there as well. So from me, thank you very much for joining us here today. Take care now. Have yourselves a pleasant day, what's left of it for you out there. And I will hope to catch you again in a future video. So take care, everybody. Night, night all.